Tonight, the first report on the controversial Caloundra South development. Hang up now, the latest police target, the dump price hike crippling businesses, and incredible pictures of a bittersweet goodbye.
Live from the Sunshine Coast with Rob Bruff, this is 7 Local News.
Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us. Development on the controversial Caloundra South site is edging closer, with a report on the first stage handed to the state government today. But there's still concern over the impact a city the size of Gladstone would have on the Palmerstone Passage. Sunshine Coast Police operation has caught a disturbing number of drivers talking on their mobile phones. And while some offenders weren't talking or texting, they were still breaking the law. And ahead tonight, changes on the cards for rail commuters and history on show in Biawar. Nice having you with us on 7 Local News. The state government is considering more rail services between the Sunshine Coast and Brisbane. Commuters have raised serious concerns about overcrowding, particularly on the afternoon services. It's been 2 weeks since timetable changes were introduced. Passenger Advocate Group, Back on Track, say there could be plans for an entirely new service at a cost of $15 million. The Transport Department says they're monitoring usage of each trip and will make recommendations soon. Woolworths' proposal for a shopping centre and residential development near the University of the Sunshine Coast could be headed for the courts. A council committee has refused to approve the grocery giant's application to be allowed a bigger area for commercial development on the Stringybark Road site. It also wants Woolworths to double its residential component and build more than 400 two-bedroom units. OK, Nathan, sport, mate. Gee, the Hyatt was a bit of a buzz today, wasn't it?
Certainly was, Bruffy. A lot of people are excited about Greg Norman coming to the PGA, and we might see some other big names tee off as well. More next. And why the Seagulls will be wearing pink and purple this weekend. You're watching 7 Local News. There's been a huge response to yesterday's news that Australian golfing great Greg Norman will play at the PGA, along with Jason Day. Organisers expect a record turnout plus more marquee players to sign up. The tournament falls just days after the President's Cup in Melbourne. Now, Bruffy, you reckon Coach David O'Shea might drop that bloke ahead of the weekend's big game?
The team list here, mate. He's gone.
He's gone scratched. Gone.
Good on you, Nate. We'll take a break. We'll get the weather details. Liv will join us in a moment here on 7. We're back soon.
Good evening, Livia Regano with tonight's weather. A sunny winter's day across the Sunshine Coast with not a cloud in the sky to speak of. Good news is our overnight lows won't be quite as cold come the weekend, but there will be a bit of cloud cover and a couple of brief showers and, of course, the cold one we've got to face tonight. Today's temperatures 9 to 21 degrees for Tewantin. Maroochydore had 20, Nambour only 19, Maleny 17. Now let's look at the satellite picture. You can see clear as a bell. We did think that the frontal cloud moving across New South Wales might spill over a little bit into southern Queensland, but it hasn't. It's been clear there as well. So in fact, it doesn't look like there's really much to talk about on the satellite picture at least. All this stuff is going to stay to the south. So we'll go straight to today's chart. As we expected, the cold front, which was approaching western New South Wales yesterday, has now moved off the coast. While we had northwesterlies ahead of that front, which was slightly warmer, the colder southwesterlies behind it have now taken over. It's quite windy in the south at the moment, and depending on how that wind drops down tonight will determine whether there's going to be frost or not. We'll have to wait and see. But of course, it's going to get fairly cold again in the tropics as it comes up. And if you see on tomorrow's chart, the next high coming in from the west, probably what it'll start to bring the winds down a little bit. So by the following night, it'll be cold enough definitely for frost and pretty cool by day as well. And now the official forecasts. In coastal waters from Double Island Point to Point Danger, 15 to 20 knot southwesterlies tomorrow, easing in the morning, becoming light and variable by the afternoon, and then 10 to 15 knot south-southeasterlies on Friday morning. No decent waves for board riders today, but clean conditions for those braving the cold for a swim. Today's high tides, 1:47 p.m. at Noosa Heads, 1:56 at Mooloolaba and Caloundra, and just before 3:30 at the Cothole at Maroochy River. The southeast coast, a cold start again tomorrow with frost patches inland and then clear wintry skies during the day. Any showers on Friday and Saturday will be brief and fall mainly near the coast. Tomorrow's temperatures, Gympie 2 to 19 degrees, Brisbane a top of 20, Sunshine Coast 6 to 19. 7-day city forecast, the fine weather expected tomorrow, and then the outlook is for temperatures around 19 degrees by day. Well, today's the shortest day of the year, and I'll admit it's been pretty cold, but we all know that July is normally the coldest month. What's the reason for the 1-month delay? Well, the Earth's like a gigantic wood-fired oven. It takes 3 months of burning summer sunshine just to get it warm. But once it's cooking, it'll hold its heat well into the autumn. That's why we get our hottest weather in January instead of December. You can use the same reasoning to explain why our coldest weather's in July, even though the days are shorter in June. I'll leave it as an exercise for you. Catch you tomorrow.
Anya Lou, thanks very much, mate. Just a reminder, if you have a story, our email address, I've said it enough times, localnews@7.com.au. There you go. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow night. 7 News coming up now. Good night.